Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of August 25th through the 30th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from August 18th through the 22nd, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is NEO. We ended the week at $6.34, up a whopping 14.44%. We ripped to the upside. Now, this is where we ended at the middle of the trend. Now, here are your price targets. To the north side, one level of resistance takes us to 682. Above that, 706. And should we be so lucky as to get to this level, that will take us to 732. To the south side, that will take us to 588. This was an old price target that I mapped out a long time ago. Below that, 564, and another pullback area would be $5.40. I don't think we'll get that low. What happened? We ripped because NEO announced a new SUV, a budget-friendly vehicle. So that sent the ticker running. Looking left, you can see all the purple horizontal lines are from 2025. The yellow lines are from 2024, and we're finally getting back to those levels. There was a gap that I marked out a couple weeks ago, and this is still in play to the downside, as well as this gap, which will take us to 392. This gap opened up after a small run. That will take us down to 489. This gap opened up on Thursday. That will take us to, if you don't know where your favorites are hidden, just hit that star button and it will reappear. That is 508. And then this monster here is at roughly 555 to the downside. It will start at roughly 578. And last week, when I talked about price, we were right here, grinding sideways, made another leg up, grinding sideways, another leg up, resistance, even though that's the middle of the trend, that is resistance from down here, and then we chop sideways for another leg up. And I will mark out this level. That is the new middle of the trend. We could chop sideways. Now watch out for a pullback though, because we have been going up for the last 8 weeks. The last 8 times I've done my gap and go trades, NEO has been at the top of this leaderboard. Oops, the next one will be Rivn. I'll show you that in just a moment. But did we have anything that closed out? Yes, this one closed to the downside on Thursday the 14th, taking us down to 450. So that's done. What is this red one? Oops. Gosh darn it. I have to hit it. Where did this go? Oh, that's because I had extended it out just generically, but it touched right there and I forgot to delete those price labels. That one is still in play. Oh, this is the 200 moving average here. And that is at 426. And we've got gaps to the downside at 393. That would be the ultimate pullback. And option R to reset. One other thing I want to point out, by the end of the week, if we continue to go up, because we are still in an upward channel, the end of the week could take us to 582 as the middle of the trend there. Oops. All right, and then the outer bands, don't hold your breath though, 947 and 755. To the next ticker, Rivn, we ended the week at 1309, up 8%. This is your 200 SMA there. For prices, the middle of the trend. Oh, here's a little note I wrote out for myself. Fundamentals tell you what to buy. The 200-day moving average helps you with when to buy. Some people like to use that. Pullbacks to support equals a better entry points while staying in an uptrend. So keep those in mind. The middle of the trend will be right here, close to where we've been on the yellow line. That's 1314, 1340, and back to where we've been, 1368 to the south side, 1261, 1207, and roughly 1187. So what happened looking left? Last time I talked about price at the beginning of the week. It was at 1224, so we've got a nice leg up. This gap touched, that was an anticipated move. That took us to the upside at 1283, roughly, or 1282, so that's no longer in play. Let's get rid of that. And to the downside, we are still going to extend that to the following week. A pullback will take us to 1139. And that's done. That's done. Where else? Oh, I'm looking at another target here of 1590. Let's extend it out. All right, here is the middle. Where did I mark it? 11, 12 bucks. Oh, okay, the middle of the trend is here where we've been with Rivn. And that one, I'm just going to delete that. That I marked out at 1258, and we're just basically back at that point. So I'll remove the old one and put a fresh one in. I should delete these other ones too, but some other point. All right, so by the end of the week, we could end here at 1351. To the upside, 1404 could be a point. We could end at 1297, 1285, and even 1243. So as far as the gaps to the south side there, and then to the north side on Rivn was that 1590. Okay, that's it for Rivn. Sofi, we ran this week. Look at this huge, from here to here, this huge leg up because of Jerome Powell there. Okay, down here was obviously a nice pullback. And from here to this level was a 17% return. How is that oh, that's 25 bucks. Okay, so let's give you some price targets first so I don't get, what is this line? What did I do here? Let me just delete that. I don't draw vertical lines except for the week ending, whatever week I'm talking about. All right, 2502 up 7.24%. Just mark that. To the north side, one level of resistance and a potential take profit area. Potential sell limit area, 2597, 2677, and 2754. The middle of the trend where we could chop sideways could be at 2455, 2304, 2224, and roughly 2134. Looking left, this is clear resistance and a sell-off, a bounce at support. This is resistance. We chop sideways. That was the trend line I drew from last week, and look how we respected that. And then your next leg up here. And no new gaps, it looks like, formed. But this gap at 2145, which I just extended out, right here, touched 2145, and that touched on Wednesday. No longer in play, no longer a threat to the south side, and then we bounced off of that, clear support. And we've got this gap to the downside at 1926 still in play, and a few other ones. And I see my 200 moving average at 1552. Hit Command Z to undo any things you accidentally didn't mean to do, which I do all the time. All right, from here to there is a what percentage return? Nope. That would be an 18% return, and on Friday we did just a 7%. So congrats if you played the long game, stuck in it instead of just day trading. And the next gap to the upside would take us where? Oh, 25 bucks. Am I done? Let me just take this to the, let's take it to the 15 so we can see option R. Oh, there's a tiny, oops, Command Z, Command Z. There's a tiny gap right here. Oh, wait, blah, blah, blah. We already touched it. I cleaned it up. Is that it for Sofi? No way. Let me just go to the daily. 22. Oh, that's it. I am done tracking Sofi. I started tracking it for the gap and go portion of this back on December 19th of 2023. And I'm done finally for August the 24th, 2025. Ignore my public service announcement. All right, 2279 is the last one. Oh my gosh. That's it. Done. The last, well, I had already checked it previously, and that touched on, this is on the daily, July 29th, so that I already finished, but there are no other gaps that I was tracking to the upside over here. Let's take this back to the, let's go to the hour. I just wanted to verify this. That's the last gap, which I already marked out. And so I should have been done with this already several weeks ago, the week of the July 25th. Okay, I will no longer track this as part of my gap and go trades. So this is going to get removed off of the weekly gap and goes. So congrats if you've been in it this long with me for those years, even though I tracked it way longer than that. And I bought my shares down here, and I would like to buy some more, but it's taken off without me. I've tried to buy it many times, but just not at it didn't come to the price I wanted, which was way lower than what it was being offered at. So there you go. Okay, moving on. Now I'm going to blaze through these. I can't believe I let it go for so many weeks and I didn't even realize I was done. This gap closed. All right, what's happening here? 25.49, 26.37 for Intel, and 27.19. The middle of the trend is here. Let's remove this one that I drew out when see how many moons ago? It's right here. I don't want to keep going back, but it's been forever if you want to look at it in my other videos. So because it's so close to this one, I'm going to delete it. That's the middle of the trend. We're in a downtrend right now on the 5. So we could bounce off of that or chop sideways. Red is the next line. Let me move this out of my way so I can see. 22.13. And the red, white right there is 21.30, and the blue is 20.48. I don't think we'll get that low, but if we wick there, it can certainly take you there. So we are not quite at this level where I've been tracking out at 29-ish. We're on a downward channel right now, even though we make those little wick ups or the candle takes us there and then it gets sold off. But watch out for all these gaps to the downside. And what else? So looking at what happened last week, we started here and we're basically ending where we started. But there was an opportunity to buy down here and a pop to the upside. That's resistance and a sell-off, and then making another leg lower. Bouncing off of this line I drew at 23 bucks. Next, Intel, Tsly. All right, I'm in many of these trades, even though I'm just doing this for the week. I've been in it forever, it seems. 794. Let me move my public service announcement out of the way. $8.05, $8.18, and $8.32. The middle of the trend is where this line was previously marked out, and look how far it goes, so I'm not going to follow it back. It takes too long. I'll just delete this. And that is roughly 777. And -2 is at 749. That's all I expect at -2. Beyond that is -3, and usually we won't even get there, and definitely not at 4. 735, and if we do, it'll be either a buy in or a sell off at 722, and then it'll make it run. So this gap is still in play. This gap is still in play. We've got gaps within gaps. And to the upside, we have this gap next to close out. But this gap, I can see that I forgot to clean it up several weeks ago. That should have lined up right here, beginning of the week on Monday, the 11th. So that took us up in an anticipated move, 786. Okay, we're slowly, look at this, 752, 768, 774, 794, the middle of the trend. Well, not the middle, sorry, the price at the beginning of the week. The middle of the trend is different. Oh, and we had this, let's see what's going on, 809. This has not touched, so this is still in play. That's done. What is this line? I'll just delete that, but this gap, oh, it's this gap right here. So last week, here is resistance, here is support. This is resistance, we busted right through, and now we're here. And the middle of the trend was here last week, and we sliced right through it to the downside. Okay, that's it for Tsly. Let's go with Nike very quickly. This is the 200-day right here at 70.38. All right, your price targets for Monday. And remember, I anticipate only to 2 and -2 standard deviations. Anything outside of that is gravy in the sense of a higher price point or a better buy-in. 79.64, 80.64, and don't hold your breath for, come on, 81.73. The middle of the trend is this line here now, very close to the yellow line of 2024. 75.46, 74.40, and 73.41. And this gap, oops, looks like it was close, but no cigar, because it did not actually close it out officially. So we have some bleeding to do whenever we reverse course. Oops. Watch out, but right now we're in an upward channel, as you can see, and I'm looking forward to this price target and this one eventually for Nike. Last one, Boeing. Come on, populate there. 230 is where we ended. 233.89, 235.89, and 237.87. The middle of the trend is now basically where we are. We could chop sideways there. It's very close to this line, which I drew. I'll move that on basically for the Monday, the 21st. So that's done. I'm going to delete it since we're so close. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Command Z. Oh, I deleted that. That's not what I meant to delete. I meant to delete this one. That one I marked out on the 11th. For the 11th, delete. Did I give you the price points to the south side? I'm going to do it again if I didn't. 22596, 22395, and 22192. This gap is in play still, taking us down to, for the pullback, 224.94. This gap touched. It was an expected move. I just don't know when it's going to do it, but I just know it most likely will happen. 226.11. Delete. So last week we were here at resistance, falling down to support, and then rolling up. Not rolling up, you don't roll for a bounce here. And that's your sell signal. And now we're at support, going from resistance. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we've got gaps to worry about to the south side. Oops. Watch out for that. But we are in an upward channel. Keep that in mind. Could change quickly though. All right, I think I've cleaned everything up so far there. And then we've got gaps to up to 260.36. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close, but I will let you know if it happens. All right, that is it. I will remove Sofi. I'll double check that I don't have any other gaps to look at, that I'm not tracking anything else. And that will then take me down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll chop my list down to 5 and then rotate from there. But that's it. That is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of the 25th through the 30th. Have a great trading week.